It's Tuesday, Apple event day. I usually just watch summaries of these things because, let's be honest, there's a lot of fluff in these videos, but today I decide to actually keep an eye out on the talk and take down a few notes for some projects that I'm working on. As I'm working and scribbling notes here and there, bigger iPad, M2 chip, available next week. Apple destroys a bunch of creative tools and instruments that I definitely like to have, like totally way more than an iPad. Okay. We're on to the iPad Pro now. New models, thinner, lighter. Yeah, sure. OLED screen, cool. M4 chip, cool. Requisite vague percentage and multiplier comparisons. A flux capacitor. Who knows what else is in there? But next up, Apple Pencil Pro. Squeeze gesture, haptics, gyroscope for rotation. Wait, what? Rotation. Now that's interesting. Why? Well, I love black letter calligraphy and making and teaching both traditional and digital art. And when it comes to getting a similar feel using digital tools to what it's like working with actual pen and paper, it's these little subtleties like being able to naturally rotate a tool that can make a big difference in the experience. So this really catches my attention and is literally the only thing in the presentation that really intrigued me. It all feels ridiculous because my interest has nothing to do with the iPads. The one that I have is honestly fine. It really comes down to just one feature of the new Apple Pencil Pro, because it's not just about trying it out for myself. I've also made many snazzy little Procreate brushes for fellow calligrapher friends. So as I'm watching this, the synapses in my brain are literally exploding with ideas for how to use this new feature with the pencil to make the brushes even better. But an ominous cloud begins to form over my excited delusion as one question creeps into my brain that I'm pretty sure I already know the answer to. Is there any chance this new Pencil Pro thing is compatible with the iPad I already have? Which isn't that old. I mean, I have an M1 iPad Pro, what should be a super capable device that uses the same chip as some of Apple's best performing laptops in recent years. So I hold on to just the tiniest shred of hope that it'll still work, but just like all those wonderful creative tools that they crushed in their presentation, so too my hope is crushed. Because not only is the new Pencil Pro only compatible with the new 2024 iPad Air and iPad Pro, but I can't even use my existing second generation pencil with any of these new devices. Which takes us to... There's a great quote in an interview this year that goes a little like this. To me, a brand is one simple thing, and that is trust.
Your customers trust you. And so brands are like bank accounts. You can have withdrawals and you can have deposits. So if a customer has a great experience, they buy an iPod and they love it, that's a deposit into our brand account in their mind. If they buy something from us and they have a bad experience, then it's a withdrawal. And so if we have a good brand, that means that people are trusting us to make great products and to give them a great experience, and if something goes wrong, to take care of them.
So let's go back. The only way to use the new Apple Pencil Pro is to shell out a minimum of $728 here in the US for it and the cheapest iPad Air. And that's before taxes, getting a case, maybe a screen protector, Apple Care, you know the deal. Even if you just bought a brand new iPad, that's any new iPad before the event, including if you spent over $2,000 on it, you'd be totally out of luck and have to get a new one to take advantage of the new features of this device. Does that sound like a great experience to you? I just can't help but feel that Apple's mostly focused on making products to brag about benchmarks now, instead of actually crafting great product experiences for us. Like, it's thinner, okay. I'm now even more worried about breaking this fragile sliver of metal and glass whose entire value proposition is around being portable and carried everywhere. Sure, it has a better tandem OLED screen, awesome. I'm sure it's super nice, but I feel like this is kind of like TVs where you can see a difference when you're in the store and all the TVs are right next to each other, but when you get home, you totally forget that it just becomes your TV. But okay. Maybe you have a very specific use case that requires professional tools and things like color management, which brings us to the new iPad Pro being the first device to get Apple's newest and most powerful chip, the monstrous M4. But it's still an iPad running on iOS, and I personally would always pick a full computer like a laptop or a desktop over an iPad for any focused or professional work. It's not even close. Just this morning, I made a good faith attempt to try to give my iPad a chance as a laptop replacement, and I gave up within 20 minutes because most of the stuff I tried was clunkier, slower, and my favorite tools and utilities that I use all the time on my Mac just don't have iPad versions. Now, could I probably get used to it and get more efficient? Sure, of course. But why would I when I can get a way more capable and easier to use device for around the same price, maybe even less? Okay, so one potential saving grace for this last argument about iOS being a little underpowered is, well, WWDC, that's the Worldwide Developers Conference. It's coming up in this summer, and that's where they announce upgrades to the operating system. You might think, I'm sure they'll announce something absolutely amazing, some incredible upgrades to iOS to take full advantage of all that horsepower that they've built into the device. Feels like we've been here before. Apple surprises us all by putting their brand new amazing M1 chip inside the iPad. We're thrilled with the announcements, not because the iPads were remotely underpowered at that point. They weren't. They were already in a spot where iOS was more limiting than the actual hardware. But still, we're excited because putting that M1 chip in the iPad, that must be the signal, wink wink, nudge nudge, that finally we're going to get a pro-level iOS upgrade, or, dare we dream, even full Mac OS on an iPad. It's a lot of anticipation, followed by a lot of letdown when WWDC rolls around, and we generally get typical minor upgrades to the OS. No overhauled iOS, no Mac OS on the iPad. So forgive me, but fool me once. So where does this leave us? And please keep in mind, these are just recommendations based on my humble experience. But if you want to get a new iPad because you're expecting it to be uplifted by a massive upcoming iOS update, at least don't buy one right now expecting that upgrade to happen. We've all learned this the hard way, so just maybe wait until after the event and then make an informed decision about what's best for you. If you genuinely need a ton of pro apps on a mobile tablet device for heavy animation, video editing, 3D modeling, a pro model will probably be the best for you. But if you're just planning on having fun drawing in Procreate and want that new Apple Pencil Pro, I feel like the iPad Air might be the dark horse here. It's got a great chip, the M2, that's better than what's in my iPad Pro. A great screen, the Liquid Retina screen. It's now offered in a bigger size, the 13-inch version. Another case, if you're looking for something just for general media consumption and maybe some light productivity stuff like YouTube, email, web browsing, taking notes, and some drawing, and you don't really care about the fanciest features that any of the new iPad devices offer, I'd probably look into the basic model or one of the previous generation models, which should be going on sale right around now with the announcement of these new ones. Finally, if you're focused on productivity tasks and don't really need something you can write on, I'd absolutely just go with the laptop. I genuinely use my laptop way more than I use my iPad. As for what I'm gonna do, maybe when the new iPad arrives, I'll be blown away and totally convinced that these new ones are absolutely the way to go. We'll see what happens. I'm absolutely gonna give it a fair shot, and I'll share everything I find out because until they convince me, I'm totally planning to take it back because you know what doesn't cost almost $1,000 to $2,000 and won't be obsolete in just a few years? These. And they're also a ton of fun to play with. Plus, you can get messy, get ink all over your hands and all over the place. It's just absolutely fantastic. So I'll keep you posted about what I find out. But in the meantime, keep writing, keep playing, and have an absolutely fantastic day. I will see you next time.